There's a lot of old and tired comedy in media and entertainment that makes fun of Asian men for not being sexually attractive. We decided to bring in 4 everyday Asian American guys to recreate iconic underwear ads, who represent a wide diversity of body types, sexuality, and just general amounts of fuckability. I've also invited some of my Asian American male colleagues across entertainment and media to provide some context to this experiment. That's right, context, because Asian men have sex, a lot of sex, which explains why there are billions of us. Gentlemen, welcome. We are here today to talk about why the fuck aren't Asian men considered sexy?
There's only 4 left and that's all.
The average Asian American male is never really spoken to, and what's interesting is I feel like the average male in other cultures, specifically let's say with white American culture, is constantly spoken to. Like the idea of being an average Joe is literally almost a badge of honor.
You even see more diversity of size and shape and so forth among African American and Hispanic actors, at least in comedies, right? If you are an Asian lead, you almost have to be super hot.
Today I'm recreating the David Beckham Armani ad. I was born like 2 months premature with a cleft lip and palate. Growing up, I never liked my face because it's not symmetrical, and that compounding it with my mom, like she always meant well, but she's just like, oh, you have a round face, like you need to work out a lot. We all are kind of ascribing to these Western ideas of beauty, and so like I still have a lot of insecurity about it.
I get the gift of recreating the infamous Justin Bieber ad. I was in high school and, you know, the jokes start flying around when the buddies start getting the girlfriends, and even though I am a man, I don't fit the prescribed notion of what is sexy because I don't look like the Ryan Goslings or the Tom Bradys. I didn't realize how different I was because I was an Asian American.
Like people talk about K-pop as if it's going to save the world, right? Like Asian idols from Asia are going to make it all good for the rest of us. And the fact is, as much as I appreciate that it's kind of cool that it's being imported here, it's again, one of those things which doesn't quite solve it for just everyday Asian guys in the middle of America.
I am recreating the famous Marky Mark Wahlberg Calvin Klein ad where he's grabbing his junk. I wasn't the skinniest kid. You know, attractiveness is how chiseled is your chest, you know, how nice are your abs. Like my mom will say, like, you should be skinnier, you should be slender. And I was like, I'm sorry if I'm not, you know, 155 pounds, but what's the big deal?
India doing well, and like all these macho Abhishek Bachchans and John Abraham, who are like the Tom Cruises and Brad Pitts of India, still has nothing to do with my life.
I'm recreating the guy from 50 Shades of Grey. I was born and raised in Iowa, so like there was that dynamic of just being kind of the only South Asian, so it does suck that like attractiveness is something that's so valued. Just like the everyday Asian American man doesn't get much like love or respect.
To give this some context, when these types of videos or projects are initially constructed, BuzzFeed is one of the main contributors to this. You respond to any sort of prejudice with hot Asian guys that can disprove this theory of Asian men aren't hot, but all those men have traditional features that play into a Western male ideal.
I haven't really seen any Asian males on an underwear campaign. I just think they're not represented because the stereotype of body type, right? Slender, small build.
We're gonna have to just create a little bit of a sharper structure, maybe along his cheekbones. I'm gonna give you the confidence that you need to become Jamie.
50 Shades of Grey. For me, I just like my body is not shaped that way. I've never been like swole or whatever. So I just think about like every relationship that I've been in has ended on just some vague term of like, you're great, but there's just something missing. And so I wonder if it's like that last little facet of just like pure attractiveness.
Even for Justin Bieber, this person who's so celebrated, even he isn't perfect. I hope to reaffirm the idea that there is strength in vulnerability. If I look in a mirror, I would like to see the person looking right back at me. And I am so nervous.
Yes, we have unicorns, you know what I mean? It's like, they're genetically gifted people of every ethnicity, there's no question about that. But it doesn't adjust the larger reality that we live in a culture in which the basic standards, you know, not the ones that we can aspire to, not the ones that if we, you know, gym ratted all of our lives and we're born with the right parents and all that stuff, whatever, like the basic standards of what an Asian guy looks like, probably falls short in different ways.
It's not ever going to be comfortable to be doing this. I kind of wish I was doing it, when Mark Wahlberg was 21. Even bodybuilders are like, oh, it's never good enough. Even though their bodies are perfectly sculpted. I think personally for me, in terms of what I want to achieve for this video, is just kind of being more comfortable with my body.
David Beckham is the epitome of this European embodiment of masculinity. I think what I'm nervous about this photo is, am I going to be hot enough to represent Asian American masculinity in this photo?
You never ever get to see these images in media of an Asian guy you grew up with, or your brother or your father.
With media in this country, because it has been predominantly white, and I get I'm sure some people are stop talking about not being white. But when you're not the majority in it, you have to have that visibility just so you can show people it's not the only option. If you like that, great, but it can't be the only thing you see.
We got the set ready, and we're gonna see if I can look like this 50 Shades guy.
The facial expression, I will be helping you along the way.
Coming into young adulthood, where I was very much questioning your self-value as an attractive person because you just don't fit that particular mold. Everyday people are freaking beautiful. That should also be a part of the conversation in terms of attractiveness. I'm hoping that kind of just gives me more confidence in myself, my body, my melanin, to just kind of expand our idea of what attractiveness could be.
This time, try to over-exaggerate your muscles.
I'm pushing it to 110 right now.
Perfect. Last one. 1, 2, 3.
If you want a body like this, all you gotta do is just eat in and out all day. Every single Asian American should feel comfortable in their own skin, regardless or not of what perception is.
Head tipped this way, the other way, this way. Furrow your brow a little bit more. Less back, but just normal. If you want to see it.
A lot harder than you think, getting exactly, your head tilted this certain way, your pinky has to be this way.
In the end, it's about you and how you feel, not, well, Asian guys are typically small and scrawny, why do you look so big? Maybe you should, slim down a little.
I hope I do Marky Mark proud.
In a very kind of subtle way, this exercise, just putting Asian guys who are just everyday Asian guys into this frame. They may not look like the ripped athlete or the supermodel, but maybe it'll make somebody turn around and say, that guy isn't too bad.
Head down a little bit more.
Identifying as an LGBT man and being Asian American, it compounds certain qualities of masculinity. It's given merit because you're able to pass in a heteronormative society. You think of every kind of movement that you do, and how is that put under this microscope that we have created as a society. Dating's very difficult. When people contact me, are you contacting me because you're fetishizing me? Are you contacting me because I'm the exception to this Asian idea that you have? So it's always this kind of second guessing as well of being an Asian American.
Time for me to get into my tidy whities. Let's get pretend abs in there.
Keep in mind that he was photoshopped, so don't get too stressed out about the muscle thing.
Oh my God. These images on social media, you get a setup and you get to look perfect. And that fantasy is what so many people work on. To wake up every day believing that is what I need to achieve, that is so exhausting to think about.
Okay, perfect. I think we got it.
With what's out there generally in media, we don't see much supporting the average Asian male being a sex god, right? Because we're being realistic, anyone can't just be an underwear model.
The way that the fashion industry, and I think especially this kind of fashion, works is they're going to look for a certain type. There's the Victoria's Secret type, and there's the obsession,
the GQ type,
the Calvin Klein kind of underwear type. And the reality is, that's a tiny, tiny microfragment of the population.
We know we can easily go to a modeling agency and get the people who are equally ripped as any other ethnicity, and they'd be perfect for it. And what we're seeing is with these 4 guys is people who are of just normal people. And you're right, we don't see that though in regular underwear ads anyway. I think that they just need to focus on seeing the underwear on what ideally fit, healthy people want to be.
It's been 1 week. We're about to do the reveal. I'm not gonna lie, of course I feel a little bit nervous. When I look at this photo of Marky Mark, immediately the first thing you're gonna think of is this what a real man's supposed to look like? Is that all that chest hair mean, or did you guys like highlight it to make it look like it's like more popping out? If you were to tell me that I'd probably be in my underwear recreating one of the most famous underwear ads a week ago, I probably would have been like, I'm not doing that. But I mean, looking at it now, it turned out better than I expected.
Right before we reveal it, I feel a little excited, a little nervous. There's no way it looks like this. He just fits like that exact structure of this like attractive specimen. And so naturally when I see myself, my own body, it's just like it just doesn't check these same boxes. Oh my God. My eyes are just drawn first to like blemishes. I like this, what is that called? That's a muscle, right? I mean, when we put them side by side, I don't really see much of a similarity. That's not to say that this isn't as attractive. Ultimately, it's just very contextual of like what is attractive. If this never comes out and this is the ad, like maybe there's a shot at that being the ideal of attractiveness.
We are given an opportunity now just as Asian men in Western media to say we can be hot. Any one of us can feel and express ourselves in a sexual way, and it's not weird and it's not a gimmick, it's just who we are.
Like I feel my heart racing, like, oh my gosh, man. When I look at this, Justin Bieber's oozing with confidence, and I'm supposed to strive to emulate that, and that's so much pressure. All right. Oh my God. You know, that's not at all that photo. I can see my imperfections, and this body is not picture perfect. Seeing it side by side, and it doesn't feel so bad, actually. It's changing in that, like, a little bit more of ownership of like, yeah, this is my body. You gotta be able to feel comfortable in your own skin, to express who you are.
David Beckham is a lot to live up to, and this kind of like unreachable sexiness. I think I'm really worried that I'm gonna look like I'm trying to do all these things, but not exactly succeeding. There I am. I never like pictures of myself, and I like this picture. Like, I feel empowered in this. I don't feel less than after seeing this picture. Like, I know that I'll never be this like David Beckham masculinity, but I think seeing this picture actually like lets me kind of own a piece of my own masculinity. There's so many definitions of what being attractive is, and Asian men definitely fit in those definitions.
No matter what your body type is, or how you look, what you have to offer in here is a lot more important than the size of your biceps or your abs, or how many times you can push a weight up and down.
It's like, I'm sure Marky Mark, has body insecurities, and regardless or not of how short, how tall, how fat, how skinny you are, I mean, the most real thing you can do is to love yourself, love your body, and just forget about everyone else.
I think regardless of what an Asian man looks like, we all have sexy qualities about us.
This is such an old archetype of like the only way a man can be attractive. This has equal value. To be able to change is to be fluid, and to be fluid means that you can exist in different contexts, which I think is so important, especially for Asian American men as we move forward in our definition or redefining of masculinity.
If you could say one thing to sort of round out this conversation, what would you say?
Fucking Asian guy. Like literally, fucking Asian guy. Period. Period.